hello, everybody. Welcome back to yet another episode of Blooming But I Fly. Thank you so much for everybody who has been so supportive, you guys who have subscribed, you guys who are going to subscribe after this episode, all of you guys being so interactive in the comments. It's been so wonderful to receive your feedback. And I'm so excited about today's guest. Today I have a dear friend of mine, Kearabetswe Sekati, otherwise known as Curry. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. I've been waiting so long,
So
busy
excited.
lady, to see you and have you on.
Aw.
So let me just introduce her properly and put some respect on her name.
Period.
Kearabetswe is a wardrobe stylist and founder of KM Artrepreneurs. Is that correct? Yes.
Entrepreneurs.
And
yes.
I sometimes call him a model. I saw that campaign you did with Tepo Jeans.
Yes. Thank you.
Part-time model.
You know, sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes I'm in front of the camera, sometimes I'm behind.
Right. And you've worked with a lot of brands as a stylist. I'm styled by her today, just by the way. I was saying to you that off camera, people are going to see the difference between the episode where I was styled and where I'm just doing things by myself.
I had to show up for my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. I love this. And it's my
looks
favorite
gorgeous.
color.
Exactly.
So you've worked with like big brands, Superbalist, Telkom, African Bank, Standard Bank, David Yarrow, Busisiwa, Her Majesty Show's opening. I'm going to read them all. Uthando Lodumo with Mampincha and Babes Lodumo. No, people must know what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Big brands. DSTV, Zamodlami, DJ Speedstar, Tapelo Mokoena, you've styled Dr. Nogukanya, Kanyile, Jerry Ranse. You've worked with so many people.
Yeah.
And when I was talking to you about this list, you sort of like were shocked to remember all the work you've done.
Yeah, you know, sometimes like you tend to look back and like when you notice that all the things that you've actually done are everything that you've always like presumed you'd get to. And I
Yeah.
didn't really like anticipate having done so much with so many big brands and people that I really, really love and appreciate their craft. So it definitely took me aback because sometimes, you know, I feel like you get into this space where you overlook your achievements or you just don't recognize them because you're just in a go space, you know, and sometimes you feel like you haven't gotten to that point that you'd love to get to, but when you look back it's like, okay, I'm not doing half bad.
Yeah, ma'am, and I haven't read through the whole list, hey? I've been skipping. I'm seeing here Soweto Derby, Tandy Somerswide. That must have been so cool.
Oh my word,
That must have been so
was
cool.
amazing.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Such a humble, beautiful person and so much fun.
Yeah.
She was the most fun. Yeah, definitely.
And you do movies as well and TV
Yeah,
productions.
so I do movies, film productions. I've done international, local. So yeah, doing a bit of everything. But yeah.
And this is why I wanted you on the show, because I think, you know, the feedback I've gotten from previous episodes on the podcast is that people really appreciate hearing somebody's story in an industry that they're interested in, but also just hearing about the individual, right?
Yeah.
I think your industry is very challenging to sort of like, it's very competitive.
Extremely.
I think with the era of influencing now, there's a lot of competition for your craft.
Yes.
And we're going to get into a lot of like the challenges and, you know, the pros and cons of your industry.
Yeah.
But I thought you've actually worked on so many versatile campaigns. You know, you once had that big billboard at Rosebank, and I would drive past and be like, that's my friend. So I think a little insight for us who don't know what goes into your job. I think creatives are also taken for granted at times. But before we get into the dramas of that, let's go back. So you are originally born and raised in the Val.
Yes, Val, you know, Italy and everything.
Yes,
Fully. That's home, man. That's home. I moved to Johannesburg 2007, and that's when I met this beautiful and amazing girl, you know. Well, we met in high school once I moved up here, and yeah, man, Val is still home, forever
Yeah.
will be, and yeah, as they say, you just come to Josie to work.
Yes, yes. I think a lot of us feel that way.
Yeah.
We have roots elsewhere. You also have roots from Potchefstroom because your
Yes,
gran
yes, my
lived
gran
there.
is from
Yeah.
Northwest. RIP to her. But yes, that's also like a piece of home as well because that's where we all were somewhat raised, you know,
Yeah.
by our matriarch.
Yeah.
So yeah, still, that's home. Those are my favorites,
Yeah.
Northwest and
And
Val.
Val,
Yeah.
an original Tswana girl.
Fully.
That's the Tswana girl. Okay, so Carrie, you come from a very big family, actually, a very
Oh,
big, close-knit family,
very,
raised by
very.
a single mom. You're the youngest of two. You have an older brother.
Yeah.
And just from my interactions with your family, you guys are all so different but the same,
Yes.
right? So where did this influence of, I mean, that's many influences, you know, if I think of your brothers, your cousins, if I
Yeah.
think of like your aunts, and you
Yeah.
take probably influences from everywhere.
Everybody, yeah.
Where did the influence eventually come from to say, I am now going into fashion and I'm now going into styling?
Well, that's definitely, I would say it started with my gran. My
Okay.
gran was a seamstress and she literally would make clothes for all her kids, all 8 of them. So she would sew and she'd make like little home trinkets and all of that stuff. And she just grew up being that seamstress and she had machines and all of that. And I found that very interesting. And also then there was an element of also, as you said, my family is very close knit, and I have so many cousins and brothers who I call my brothers. You know, all of them also were somewhat in creative spaces, and I started with my brother who literally did sound engineering at Allenby, and you know he got into that space before not any of us even considered like the creative like space. You know. And he did sound engineering, and that was also like just like that door open that, you know what, it's still possible, we don't necessarily have to go the conventional way, you know. So
So it was never contentious in your family. Like a lot of families aren't open
yes.
to like creative direction
Oh
in the
no,
beginning.
no. My family and like our parents have been so amazing. They have been so open to all our crazy ideas
Yeah.
and, you know, crazy dreams. And they've supported us wholeheartedly. So it's been very easy. Like even now I have, you know, family that are in like advertising, my partner as well. And, you know, we're all in different spaces, as you said, like bit of tech here, bit of music there, you know, so everybody's in like a creative space, and it just made it so much easier to just eventually get into it. But I've always loved fashion, and I used to make like little clothes for my Barbies and all
Yeah.
of that stuff. So that's where it started. And then I started making jewelry in primary school and I would sell them. So it just gradually and eventually just got there. And then I did fashion
Yes.
at Lysoff, and then after that I branched into styling after we got an opportunity. So yeah.
And what a lot of people may not know about you, even like people in your personal space, you're
Yeah.
actually like a math boffin. This girl in high school,
Tell them, girl.
like
They
your
always
left brain is there.
deny.
No, you used to help me with math.
I know. Well, guys, y'all heard it.
I
Y'all heard
got
it.
through grade 11 and matric math from
I
you.
actually was. That was my favorite. I loved maths. I love numbers, man.
Yeah.
I really
And
do.
you started off also in property management.
Yes, definitely. I ended up in property as well because it was a consideration. I wanted to do BSc property studies, but then it got discontinued at Vids and also at UJ. It got downgraded into a diploma, and I was just I was just like, oh my gosh, no. I really wanted to do it at Wits, but because of that, they were starting to phase out the property courses. But I did a short course, and then after that, I went and I worked in the property sector as an agent. And yeah, so buy, sell, rent out properties. So yeah, that's my somewhat maths but creative side all in one. You know
All
what
in
I'm
one.
saying? Yeah, so that's where things were.
So what didn't work out for you in property where you say, you know what, I'm actually now going to fully venture into the creative space. I actually want to do this thing and I see it being a career. Because you said, you know, when you were younger, you would make stuff and sell them. So it sounds like you've always had this entrepreneurial spirit in you.
Yeah, I definitely have. Like, I didn't notice it before. Like, well, in my older age, I didn't notice it before it actually happened, or before I started my business. But you know, when you look back, then you realize that actually I've been doing this for a long time,
Yeah,
you know, but
yeah.
just in different spaces and maybe not as broad or as big as it has become right now. But property for me, at the time, I still loved it, you know, and I still do right now. But I think, you know, when that fire is just burning and you're just like, you still want to do it, you know. And at the time, going to Lysof, it was really like, the school, it was really, really expensive. So my mom really couldn't afford it at the time. So that's why I went and I worked first. And after I saved up some good money, you know, and I felt confident, we relooked it, and and then I was like, you know what, I need to do this. Like, I know I have to, because I know that is the space I want to be in, you know. So and then I took the plunge, and so
I'm such a firm believer in what people end up doing, they were born for. Right? I think you're born, like, I'm a psychologist. I think you're born a psychologist. I think you're born a stylist. I think you're born a doctor, whatever it is. I think we find our different paths to then realizing, and then you go to school or have mentors to hone the skill. Right? Like, I couldn't be a stylist even if I wanted to, because I don't think I have the eye for it. I don't think I have the creativity for it. And if I think back growing up with you, you always styled us to go to parties anyway. Like, you've been doing this thing, you know?
Oh, very, very
so
true.
it was always going to work out that you venture into it and then start your own thing. And you've been in the game now for almost a decade. It's a long time.
It really is a long time. Time flies when you're having fun.
And you started out with partnership.
Yes.
You had a partnership and a company with that. And then this year you actually decided to go solo. Can you talk me through that journey?
So initially I had a company with a good friend of mine, Murungwa, called Stage Fabrics. And, you know, just like starting any business, you get lost and you don't even know what's happening. Starting a business is very hard, you know. And, you know, we didn't know what the heck we were doing.
Right.
It was just a bit
You guys started in
overwhelming.
2016, I think.
2015, 2016. And we were just two girls just trying to make it. And we were just pushed by a few friends of ours that we should actually just open a business. But I don't think we anticipated how much a company or starting a business, like how much effort and how much needs to go into it, you know. And that goes down to even the administrative stuff and like, you know, all the little nuances of it. And I think we just really, really...
Dreamstream, a place to create yourself. Record video, music, and podcast in our full-service studio. Dreamstream, a place to create yourself. Record video, music, and podcast in our full-service studio. Dreamstream, a place to create yourself.
struggled. And yeah, it worked. I mean, we still were doing pretty well, but it started off extremely, extremely slow, trying to get ourselves out there.
Like building connections and stuff.
Yes, building connections, even getting solid gigs. You know,
Mm.
we were still doing a lot of jobs where we were getting paid close to nothing.
Yeah.
And just because we were just trying to get our name out there.
Yeah.
And we were trying to also just push that female empowerment of like that we can work together. And yeah, it worked until we just decided that, you know what, amicably, it's, you know, maybe we need to relook everything and maybe it's just time to call it,
Yeah.
you know. And it was a very hard decision, but I think it was wise because the last thing you want is to be in any sort of trouble or have things missing in your business that you haven't really like done. And you know, we just needed a proper foundation, and I think we started without one.
What would you say the actual challenges were? Like when you say foundation, is it like funding? Is
Yes.
it people not trusting you guys because you're new? Or what were
Yes.
the challenges you guys weren't anticipating?
I think the biggest challenge was obviously things like, for example, it's so imperative to have an accountant.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
my goodness. Having an accountant to manage money, like, you know, money was coming in and out very quickly. And I don't think we knew what to do with it or,
Okay.
you know. And so it's that. A lawyer too.
Yeah.
You know, having a lawyer on call, you might not have them full time because we're such a small business. But having that info or someone to help you with legal
Okay.
would really help because we had some shoots where, you know, we had to go legal, but we couldn't afford it, nor did we have someone because of non-payments or, you know, late payments. And we just couldn't manage that. And it was just the two of us. And sometimes we were just so focused on the creative that we left all the other things, you know. So I think small things like that. And yes, trying to get in the doors is very hard.
Yeah.
It's tricky. It's ideal if you know people that can show you around. And at the time, we knew a few cool people that were friends, but it also wasn't to the scale that we would have loved it to be.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe we were just trying to rush it, but you know, everything worked out the way it needed to because we had to learn those lessons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a mentor who once said to me, before you start a business, work for somebody so that you can learn the business with somebody else's money,
Yes,
make those
exactly.
mistakes, and then start.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think you bring up a very important point where a lot of creatives will talk about this, where they are so focused on the art and whatever it is that they're creating, right? For you, it's styling, that they don't have the business background. And it's so
Yes.
helpful to have somebody or some knowledge around that. So courses like at Lysoft, do they venture into teaching the business side of how to...
Yes, they do. But I guess at the time, I mean, I was just studying to be a designer.
Okay.
So obviously I knew the business side of design. I didn't know how the styling side worked. You know, I never got the chance to actually learn like professionally, like how that works. Most of the things that I learned, to be quite honest, was from my friend Linda. She's also a wardrobe stylist. She's amazing. And she started in the game before me because she did fashion like a few years before me. And I learned a lot from her, like my foundation of the styling business side. Definitely learned from her. And but yeah, you know, just like anything, we all had our little mishaps here. So we were teaching each other at the same time, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so that's the way I learned. But there is a business side and there is, you know, they do teach you those things. They do. There's an opportunity to learn about that.
Okay.
And the finances, etc. So it's there. It's there.
Because I was going to ask you, in this day and age where if I have a good dress sense, I think I think there's a misconception of what you guys do.
Yeah.
I think very few of us understand what actually goes into it. I've seen it just simply because you're my friend, right?
Yeah.
But before that, I used to think, well,
What is
you
that?
just put clothes together. But actually, it takes a lot of
Yeah.
work, planning, prep.
Oh my gosh.
And people don't understand that. So I was wondering, in this day and age where if somebody just has naturally a good dress sense, with the influencer space growing, you know, where people now can just make it a career based on their natural talent or however you want to put it.
Yeah.
Do you still find it vital for people to study in your industry? Do you think it's still important to go to school?
Definitely if you're trying to start a business in the space.
Yeah.
110%. Like, I think that's just vital for a lot of careers or businesses. You just need to learn the business side. You need to learn your finances, you know, get your marketing down. It's very imperative to know that. You might have a knack for things. I mean, as you said, the influencer space. Some people just have a knack for being on camera and being able to promote themselves and stuff like that. But in our industry, I think it's necessary because it teaches you the right skills when it comes to running a business. But when it comes to styling, I think you just really need to have a great eye.
Yeah.
And you just need to also be able to understand people's body compositions, be able to understand briefs, because sometimes you need to really follow a brief. Like you might have, for example, if I was an influencer, I could be like, okay, well, Nkanyezi, I would love her to wear this because you think it's cool for you.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's not part of the brief. You know, if the brief says this, you need to follow the brief. You can't just haphazardly be like, yeah, because I think it's cool. Like, I'll go with that. Sometimes they don't want cool. Sometimes they just want a t-shirt and a pair of jeans because they want to keep it clean.
Who actually has the say there? Because if I say, Carrie, please come style me for the podcast.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not a creative. I'm not a stylist. I don't have the eye for it.
Yeah.
I have an eye for, I go to wherever I go buy my clothes for day to day and for work.
Yeah.
But you might have a vision for the podcast. So how does that work? Is it when you say follow the brief, do I tell you what I want? I don't know what I want.
Yeah.
Does it work?
No, you don't necessarily tell me what you want. I mean, some brands obviously will tell you that, okay, well, we're trying to go lean into this colorway because this is the direction we're going.
Right.
So they might have a preempted idea of what they want to see. But for example, for you, a person, just an everyday person that doesn't know like what they actually want, I can definitely, you know, help you with that. And you just need to give me an idea of the space you're in and, you know, what you want to achieve. And then I just kind of work around that. So I'll know that, okay, maybe if we're going to do something with, I don't know, some minister or president, I'll know that, you know, in that space, you need to dress a certain way to look professional. So it's catch-22, but some clients just come and they're like, well, I want big, or I want poofy, and I want whites, you know. So some people come knowing what they want, and then you just work around it and just find things that they probably might not consider or think of.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you say in your industry you feel people take for granted about your job?
That I just go shopping every day.
Okay. Like just in the shop.
Like it's just fun times. I'm just spending money buying clothes. Like that's not the be all and end all of it. Trust me, it takes a lot more work than that.
Educate us. So what does like either a day in the life of a stylist or days in a project look like? What are you actually doing?
So first and foremost, obviously, either, you know, most of the time we get briefed with maybe whatever production it might be. We get briefed and then I have to work around that brief, consider colorways, consider like the idea or the actual I don't know, say now they're saying it's for a summer campaign or something like that. You need to consider the fact that the clothes need to be summer friendly. Okay. Even if it's winter and all the stores have winter clothes, you got to make a plan.
Okay.
You know? Yeah.
Okay.
And then after that, you do boards and you work on boards and like, you know, ideas for maybe each character. And then you sell it to, or you give it back to production. Then they suss it out, see if they're happy or not. If they're not happy or they want to can this and can that and swap things around, then we do that. And then after that, then you get a sourcing budget. So client will give you a sourcing budget, and that's the budget that you use to buy the clothes.
You see, that budget is what I hear a lot of people in your field complain about.
Oh, yes.
There are memes on end about that, where like the client has a vision this big,
listen,
and a budget this small.
You know, you can't want like a Gladiator with Denzel Washington type of production.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna give us like, I don't know, 20 grand.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
It's actually quite expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, I consulted you for this podcast, right?
Yes.
Because I just respect the field. And I'm like, I'm not a stylist. So at some point I need to invest in this thing, right? And when you gave me back the budget, I was like, oh,
yeah.
let me just respect
but you know, also
what people do.
Yeah.
And I didn't complain about it. I just simply, my take on it is make a plan to then afford it versus negotiate.
Yeah.
I find like a lot of you guys complain about people negotiating your rate a lot.
Yeah.
And I think this is why I was asking about school as well. Because you find like in those fields, right? There's those fields that are more respected in society. Yes. Suddenly that piece of paper or that degree, you can sort of, it helps you pitch your salary or your rate.
Exactly.
Whereas creatives, I think, struggle a bit more because, well, why do you think even in today's day and age, where I find creatives are actually making way more than professionals at some point, right? Some of them, but there's still some sort of disrespect for the craft.
Yeah. I think,
when it comes to payment and
I think more than anything, as you said, people just don't respect the arts as much as they should.
Yet we use the arts in almost everything.
In everything, exactly. Like it gets us by every day, you know? And people just don't see us. And I hate to say it, but it's true. And as you're saying, that piece of paper, whether you're a lawyer or not, nobody's going to argue with a lawyer.
Yeah.
If a lawyer says, listen, you're paying me 80 grand per session, that's that. Whereas with us, it becomes an argument. And
why do you think that is?
I just, you know, it baffles me every time. And I think especially as a female, we probably have it the worst in this industry. And I genuinely still can't figure out the why behind that. But also I think people, as I said, people just think, oh yeah, it's just clothes, you know? That's how people view it and view the fashion game sometimes. So it's just like, oh, it's just clothes, it can't be that expensive. I can just quickly go there and like buy these things and I'll make it myself. And they don't realize how much effort it goes into it. And it's not just about me buying you the clothes. Like it's the preparation, it's the research I need to do in order for me to achieve the look like properly, you know? And our society just hasn't seen fashion as anything important, you know?
And the hours you guys work, you know? Like when you're on an actual set for like ads or TV productions, you're there for long hours. So because they can't have a production without you being there to actually assist and help. And
the hours get crazy. We sometimes start shoots at 3 a.m. in the morning or 4 a.m. And it does get a bit manic, but I don't know, you work on like, it's like you have Red Bull in your body all the time. You're just on go mode every time, and you just have to, even if you're sleeping, you're just rushing through it, and you're just like, okay, I'm here. As long as I'm here and I'm doing what I need to do. But it's a crazy industry, but fun.
You're very introverted just by nature. You're very calm,
Yeah, everybody thinks
mellow
otherwise.
soul.
Yeah.
Well, I think in your private space when you're comfortable, but
Yeah.
even there with, with your people, you're generally very introverted and calm.
Yeah.
This industry, I would imagine, requires somebody extroverted.
Yeah.
Does it? Or like,
Yes.
how have you, I mean, earlier you were talking about how hard it was breaking into the industry. How does somebody that isn't necessarily out there, and extroverted break into the industry? How do I go from lights off to then
Yeah.
yeah. And, how do I get there? What is the
Yeah, that I think was a big struggle for me. Because as I said, like heck, even just being in front of the camera or behind the scenes and working with people, because I mean you see these big guys and you want to be like extroverted, but
DreamStream, a place to create yourself. Record video, music, and podcast in our full-service studio. DreamStream, a place to create yourself. Record video, music, and podcast in our full-service studio. DreamStream, a place to create yourself.
It's basically like you need to really put yourself out there and start speaking more. And more than anything, do collaboration with people will eventually kind of break your shell, especially once you start doing things that you love and that, break you out of, what am I saying?
Would you say it's like also word of mouth?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
you were talking about Linda, and I
Yes.
imagine then when you're all studying, this one knows this one.
Yeah.
And then you get your first break, and it's
Yes.
just networking from there.
Yes. I think it's definitely the sociable part, and also just genuinely working and collaborating with different people is what's really gonna break your shell, and you kind of end up having to.
And managing a lot of personalities.
It's overwhelming.
The sets I've seen you on is a lot of people at the same time.
It does get overwhelming, but you need to be a people's person.
Yeah.
Because if you aren't, then you're not gonna enjoy it whatsoever.
Patient
As well. Extremely patient.
Yeah.
Because hey, today you could have somebody who's a diva.
Yeah.
And tomorrow somebody might be complaining because maybe they're just not feeling good that day.
Yeah.
You just need to be able to be patient and calm and just take things as they come. But, also not compromising on your respect and your boundaries, you know.
Yeah.
So definitely don't let them disrespect you, but patience is key. Yeah.
Let's talk sustainability. Right? I think for somebody who would be new in the industry or trying to get into it and doesn't know much about it, how do you make your field sustainable? Like a lot of creative spaces, you guys get paid after the fact, or when you said earlier that sometimes you don't get payment.
Or 90 days.
Or 90 days.
Which is a bit
like,
insane.
why is that still a thing, you know?
Oh, man.
Because how do you then sustain your life? Like, if,
It's. I think that's one of my biggest challenges when it comes to our industry.
Yeah.
It is very hard. I mean, I was even listening to a really amazing stylist that I look up to, B Diamond Head. And she's one of the best in South Africa. And even she, after all the work that she's done and the years she's been in the industry, even she goes through spats of like 2-3 months of no payment and not knowing what the heck she's going to do, And it's a bit frustrating. And I thought it just happened to us who are like, still not really young, but I thought maybe other stylists more than anything, but I never expected somebody even as high as her to also go through the same thing. So clearly it's whoever you are, like it doesn't matter.
Is it only affecting like stylists? Because I imagine for a production there's a budget first.
Yes.
So you knew that you'd have a budget for styling. You knew you'd have a budget for camera. Is everybody getting paid 90 days after? Or is it certain people?
I can't really say. Some people, some productions I'll know that, okay, we're all getting paid same time. And sometimes other people are prioritized before us, which is, I don't know why, but makeup and styling is always probably the last. I'm sure, like, it is a bit frustrating, but yeah, it's very hard to manage your life when you're not getting paid on the 30th after they said they're going to pay on the 30th. And people don't understand that as a small business, those small, like late payments, whether it be a day or two, can mess everything up for us. Like, I mean, sometimes even you end up missing your own personal payments. Like, now you can't pay that account, you can't pay your rent, you can't pay for your car. It's they don't understand that as a small business, every little bit counts, and getting it on time is so imperative. So please, producers, let's do better. Let's do better, please.
And I imagine just as an individual, it affects then things like building a credit score.
Yes.
And how long it must take to find like proper footing, stability, and independence. Like a lot of creators that I know take long to move out.
Yes.
Buy a car.
Yes.
I follow the couple Kodaki.
Yes, I love them.
They're renovating their house, and they were going through their story of
definitely
getting approved by a bank for a home loan. So even things like that, I think a lot of people, do you find people find they glamorize your job, but actually behind the scenes, it's actually quite challenging.
It is extremely challenging, like to work around like just everyday life and adulting is it's very challenging having a job where things aren't consistent. Even the jobs don't come in as often. Like we don't get paid on like regularly. It's very hard, and I genuinely think that we need to start re-looking how we treat small businesses and our creative industry, because most of the people that I know that are in our space end up branching off into other things, or maybe like, okay, now I'm selling products, or now I'm selling clothes, because that's probably a little more sustainable and manageable. But yeah, I think that's how we're all trying to get by, or get into interiors and, stuff like that. So it's tough, I love fashion. I really do. But even I have been considering, okay, what's next? What's more sustainable for me? Because this sometimes just isn't, it doesn't make sense,
Because I can't imagine how exhausting that must be, that
and stressful,
right? In order to sustain your day-to-day life with something you're passionate about, I actually then end up having to venture out in, because even like going into sales or products, that's a whole other business.
Exactly.
So you actually end up doing like 3-4 things just to get by. It is stressful. And also opening another business is like, oh, is that business even gonna work? You know? Yeah, no, trust me. A lot of us have thought about going back to 9 to 5. 100% just for that stability. But, I think one thing about any creative or an artist is that we're just wild like that. We just love, when we love our art, we love our art, and we hope that someday, somehow, there'll be more, what you call it? People that kind of, what are these things? I forgot. People that's, what is this? Like not sort of like a council that kind of like manages. Yes.
That thing.
Not a board of members.
Yes, a board, basically a board like that will
A union.
regulate. Yes, a union. Yes.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Finally.
Yes.
But yeah, a union. Like we need to unionize the stuff because I know even in the UK that's what they've been doing, and that is helping them so much more.
Yeah.
And it's kind of made the industry a lot more stable. And unfortunately in SA, we don't really have that support. And, you know, the arts and culture space also politically, there's just there's nothing for us. Let me just say that. It's very hard. So hopefully things change in the country.
Would you consider going international?
Hell.
Or do you think that's is that a consideration for you? Is that something in the future for you?
Definitely. I would love to. I mean, there was a point where I considered going to the UK.
Yeah.
And I have a friend that side, Rosetta, and she was a makeup artist that side before she became a DJ. And she was like, no, I've got the connects. I know the right people. You know, she's done magazines, she's done productions, all of that. So I did want to go to the UK, and then COVID hit. How amazing.
Okay.
So I was stuck and I just never got to. And obviously straight after COVID, like was not pretty much over.
Yeah.
And when the gates opened up, everybody was still trying to recover from it all. So it was going to be very hard for me to try and approach people because that side at the time. So yeah, and a lot of people pivoted, trying to make money. So it's definitely something I still want to do. It's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
I would love to, but I've had the pleasure of working with a few international people, and like the David Yarrows, who's worked with like Sierra, Cara Delevingne, etc., which has been incredible.
That is so cool. How do you end up like collaborating with him?
Oh my gosh, I don't even. Sometimes I'm like, what the heck happened?
That is so cool.
Once again, word of mouth, somebody that I've worked with like multiple times, some guys based in Cape Town, they just called me and they're like, yo, we got a big job.
Yeah.
And we have this guy called David Jarrah. I didn't even know like
who he was.
I knew his work. I just didn't know him, you know, the way. And oh my word, when he came, it was incredible. Got to meet him, got to sit down, talk over a drink. And, you know, he's actually so fascinating.
Yeah.
He's extremely fascinating. And I've had the pleasure of working with him like 3-4 times now. So, yeah, every time he's in SA, I'm like a call away.
So because you've worked with so many people, who would you say you'd still want to collaborate with locally and internationally?
Ooh.
Like, who would you like to style, or a production you'd like to be part of?
Okay. Production I'd like to be part of. Wait, I gotta think. This is big. But internationally, I would definitely like want to work with. Wait, what? Let me think. Oh my God, there's so many. Yo.
I mean 3. We'll give you 3. Let me not limit you to 1.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, look.
Do you prefer? Okay, or maybe let me narrow it down. Do you like what kinds of styling or production? Do you like TV? Do you like music videos?
Look,
do you like
I love movies.
Okay.
I love movies. I love commercials and working with brands more than anything. Okay. But one of my biggest would have to definitely be Nike.
Yeah.
I would love to do a campaign for Nike.
And you are a Nike girl.
I'm such a Nike girl. Like, you know, I'd love to work with them. I'd love to be part of their collective. I know they have a female collective, and I ideally would love to be one of the first African women to be part of the African collective. Nike, you hear me? I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, that's a...
So Nike's definitely... I'd love to work with Lamise. She's amazing. Very relatable. Love her. Overseas... I mean, who doesn't want to work with Beyonce?
Okay, yeah.
Who doesn't want to work with Beyonce? Like, you know, no. But you guys won't know till after because the NDA is tight.
She has for styling.
Everything.
Why would you
Every
have...
single thing.
Okay, educate me. Why
Yeah.
do you need an NDA for styling?
Because what if the looks, are top level? And
Okay.
she just, when she does a whole production,
Yeah.
Beyonce plans way ahead.
Right.
So trust, it might be now, we might be styling her now, but she'll probably drop this in 2 years.
Right.
So you just
okay,
need
got
to,
you.
yes,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying.
We don't know these things.
Closed lip. You'll never hear anybody say that they said something about Beyonce and working with Beyonce beforehand.
This is true.
Because, I think Beyonce is hectic like that.
Okay. And you have
protective.
you have a hip hop influence. You've always been a hip hop girly.
Love hip hop.
Is there anybody in that space that you would...
Kendrick Lamar. Definitely Kendrick. Because I just love his mind. I love his creative directions. And Tyler, the Creator. I think they're very... Definitely the out-the-box guys.
Yeah.
They definitely don't draw their lines inside the box,
Yeah.
which I love. And I find that to be it's a nice feeling, it's like they push you to do things or get out of the boundaries, of what you're used to. And I just think they're cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it would be really nice to work with people like that.
And we've spoken about what doesn't work in your industry. What does work in your industry? What do you actually love about your job?
The people, man, just meeting different kinds of people, hearing their stories, seeing them work, and just how dedicated everybody is to the craft, There's many different parts of it in even just one production, There's many different pieces, but it's crazy how our little contributions, as little as they might seem, have made some incredible work.
No, don't little your craft. They're not little. Don't little your craft. For us to respect what you do, you guys shouldn't little your craft. There's nothing little about what you guys do.
You're right. Yeah, so it's that contribution and just being able to work together and just like the community itself. That's what I love the most. And more than anything, meeting all these amazing people that we get to work with and seeing them become something else as well.
So can you just tell us a little bit about KM Artrepreneurs? It's art and entrepreneurship. What is it actually? So if we contact you, what are we getting?
Yeah, so KM Artrepreneurs basically is, it's I wanted to start like an umbrella of a company so that I could branch off into not only just styling, but also have my actual line.
Okay.
And work,
Okay.
And, I've always been pro-woman, entrepreneurship, even though it's crazy. But I'm always there to support. And, I mean, I even have a team that I've grown with. And, I have people like makeup artists that I know are like my go-to as well. And basically it's, just supporting people in the arts that are entrepreneurs and promoting them and just pushing that. So that's what I'm trying to branch it off into.
So people would be signed under your company, basically, housed under your company.
Yes, housed under my company. And basically people can just call me for styling. People can call me if they want any production help. I've done a couple of art direction stints, and art direction is more like the setting. And and so it's a bit of that, a bit of wardrobe, a bit of fashion. So I'm trying to have all the little small what's it? Yeah, that.
Niches. Is it niches?
Niches, under it.
Okay.
So, so it's just promoting that.
Okay. A line, a clothing line. What does that look like? What tell us about the clothing line. Is it in the making? What is the inspiration behind it? Am I gonna wear it on the podcast?
Yes. It's coming. Yeah, no, definitely. We've been working on it, and
That is so
yeah.
exciting. But I didn't know that.
So yeah, it's just about, taking that leap, and I guess that's why it helps having people that can support you, like a person that I was telling you about, Alex, who also helps, just push you out of there. Because I think the hardest part of starting anything like that is taking the leap and having the faith for it. But
And the patience for growth, right?
patience for growth, yeah. And just actually that small part between the idea and actually implementing is probably the hardest, so I've been trying to break free from it, because I've been saying this for years and people been asking me for years.
You've been making clothes for us for years. I think it's about time.
I know.
I am so excited about that.
So yeah, no, it's definitely coming. And yes, I will bring it to the podcast, I promise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's exciting, man.
Yeah.
That is so exciting. So you and I can talk forever, just because you have so much going on for yourself, but also we're friends, so we could really just chat and get lost.
Yeah.
But we have a tradition here at home.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Oh my God.
Don't worry.
Y'all gonna make me eat some crazy stuff.
There's no
I'm not ready for that.
there's no
Please,
eating.
it's early.
We are just interested about you. So I'm gonna ask you to trust me.
Okay.
It's like
Okay.
more than a decade of friendship. Just trust me.
Okay.
And close your eyes.
All right.
And take a deep breath and focus just only on your 5 senses. See the images in your mind. Just notice what you are hearing and what you're smelling, how the fabric feels in your hand. And I just want you to think out loud with us for 30 seconds, right? And I want you to think blooming butterfly, Kearabetswe Sekati. And what is next for you?
Flying.
Okay.
Just, oh man, reaching the stars, man, and more than anything, making. Oh my gosh, yeah, you're gonna get me emotional. I just want to make like my mother proud, my sister proud. Yeah.
Okay.
And just getting to a place of peace and stability more than anything. And yeah, I just want to be in full bloom, for real. Yeah, I just want my business to be incredible as I envision it. Yeah, I just hope that it's something that I can be proud of.
Oh, don't make me cry.
Yeah, and it's taken a lot, but everything.
We are proud of you.
Thank you. To get to this point, as we were talking, like it takes a lot to actually notice how much you've done.
Yeah.
And actually acknowledge that you're doing okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just want to thank God for just being here through it all, even though it's been bloody rocky. But, it's not half bad. And I love what I do. I really do. I just hope I get to a place where I am just content and at peace with everything, and everything is just flourishing the way that I envision it. So yeah, that's where the flying is.
God willing, it's done.
God willing, it's done. Amen.
God willing, it's done.
Yeah.
And I just want to thank you for coming on. I know that it's this kind of thing is not
it's not
your
my
thing.
Yeah, no.
But the emotions behind this at the end
Yeah.
behind your story is exactly why I think I was so adamant on having somebody like you on the platform.
Yeah.
Because there are so many people like you who are in the industry or trying to get into the industry.
Yeah.
Or people I hope will watch this and actually, you know, the people you collaborate with,
Yeah.
us who, you know, look for your skills and don't know what goes into it, to
Yeah.
start just respecting it, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, as a friend, I said, well, let me save up for the budget and then I'll get back to you, you know,
Yeah.
versus negotiation of something that has taken over a decade of experience.
Yeah. A lot of work.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
And there's a real human being behind the negotiations and the belittling of your job.
Exactly.
You
And
know.
there's a family and
there's
a
a
table where I gotta put food
Yeah.
and, you know, and I don't think people actually view it that way.
Yeah. And you have your own life goals.
Exactly.
Things to reach, you know.
So, yeah. Thank you, friend,
Thank
for
you.
opening that up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. But yeah, I definitely would like to say that people need to start realizing that behind every piece of work, there's a lot of hours that go behind it.
Yeah.
And, you know, we need to respect everyone, whether they're painting or they're artists or they're singing. It takes so much work, and people need to just respect the art space a lot more,
Yeah.
and the creative space a lot more, and creatives, and realize that they too have a lot going on and are very human and are adulting just as much as any other person who's 9 to 5ing. And yeah, we just really need to put some respect on people's name.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, my friend.
So, in season 3, you know whose line I'm wearing. This is the last season. I'm putting it out there. This is the last season where I'm dressing myself.
Yes, no, definitely. Please.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, friend.
Guys, I will see you next time. Thank you for tuning in. Comment and let us know your feedback.
Yes, please.